In this episode of TAC Tic Talk, Jaclyn and I caught up with Dr. Frank King. Dr. King is a naturopathic doctor as well as a doctor of chiropractic. He's a nationally recognized researcher, homeopath, speaker, naturalist, and the author of The Healing Revolution. He's the developer and manufacturer of SafeCare for professional use only, the most comprehensive, high-potency, pure water-based homeopathic formulas for chiropractors. Listen on to hear what Dr. King had to say. So welcome, Dr. Frank King, to our podcast here, TAC Tic Talk. I'm, of course, the editor of the American Chiropractor, Joe Busch. This is my sister and publisher of the American Chiropractor magazine, Jaclyn Touzard. So we're here with legendary chiropractor, Dr. Frank King. Dr. Frank King. Dr. King, you've been growing over the last, I think, 30 years, approximately, a line of supplements, but they're really homeopathic remedies. So I just wanted to start out on that topic. What got you into doing that type of treatment protocol?
Yeah, well, it goes back to really 1970, early 70s. I converted our family farm into organic, 450 acres, and got into all the natural. Through that, I really got turned on to chiropractic and natural healing techniques and went to Life Chiropractic College. That was the name in the day. I was one of the early graduates in 1979. Started my practice back home in Ohio, and outside of Youngstown, where all the steel mills had closed down. It was the most depressed area of the country, and began a holistic health clinic out in the middle of nowhere. And it just blossomed. In the first year, we had to hire 2 more chiropractors and some naturopaths. I have a naturopathic degree as well. We were doing and utilizing techniques and healing from all around the world. And it was really an exciting journey. It blossomed into averaging through the 80s, 4 doctors, 13 therapeutic staff, from homeopaths to colon therapists, to nutritionists, to herbalists, so we were doing a broad spectrum practice, and people were coming from all over the country to see us. It was a practice in the 80s that topped over $1 million a year, which was a lot in those days.
Yeah, $1 million was a lot more then, but yes.
Yes. So
it's still a good chunk of change nowadays, Frank.
Well, and so it had just grown, and we developed a lot of advancements in healthcare, from healing techniques to homeopathic medicines. And we couldn't get anyone to make them the way we found them working so well. So I decided to turn my practice over to my associates after 10 years of practice, and went off on a research sabbatical to figure out, how do you start a pharmaceutical manufacturing company? Because homeopathic products are actually registered over-the-counter drug products. It's the first of the natural products to become registered as a drug with the FDA. But it's a drug of a different nature. Dr. Hahnemann, who discovered and developed homeopathy, actually coined the terms homeopathic medicine and allopathic medicine, which are the other drugs. So we developed these advancements in homeopathy to make it better. And some of those advancements are, we created a pure water base rather than the traditional that is still used today in homeopathics. It's either alcohol or in a sugar pellet. And so we wanted to get away from that. We worked with a lot of hypersensitive people. In 1980, we built a wing in our clinic for hypersensitive people that was totally green. And so these people come in, we had 5 treatment routes in this green extension, and people would react to the alcohol. They'd react to the sugar. They'd call me a hypocrite for giving them sugar pellets and homeopathy. And so I thought, I don't want to be a hypocrite. So we really developed we had the purest medicine with homeopathy. We wanted to put it in the purest base. And how do we preserve this product naturally in water? And so we developed that advancement. And we began King Bio in 1989. That's 33 years now that we have been serving chiropractors. And we have developed a lot of other advancements. We developed using multiple ingredients that are very synergistic and help one another. We also developed multiple potencies with our SafeCare brand that is designed specifically for professionals only. And it has 7 high potencies, all equal volumes, and then mixed together. So we have a very broad therapeutic spectrum. The lower potencies work on the more superficial symptoms. The middle potencies work on our organs and glands. And the higher, these special LM potencies that we use, that Hahnemann developed in the last decade of his life, actually work into the mental and emotional components, which most everybody has a mental or an emotional component when it comes to any type of illness, whether it's a pain or any other problem, a headache or a hemorrhoid. It's still, there could be emotions attached. So the LM potencies that we use as well work even deeper, as Dr. Hahnemann discovered, and that is works on the genetics, the genetic predispositions that we have to disease. And we all have genetic predispositions. Some of them are good and a lot of them are bad. We wonder, why is our family so high anxiety? Why is our family so susceptible to cancer or heart disease or diabetes? You know, these are things that how deep homeopathy works at this LM level. It works on strengthening our inner constitutions, our mental, emotional components, as well as our physical components. But it even works in that genetic predisposition as deep as 10 generations into our family tree. So that is what turned me on to homeopathy so much, because I saw the results. I saw not only fast results with physical symptoms, but saw people creating more emotional maturity, more, where they made stress a good thing. Stress did not throw them off their center anymore. We saw how homeopathy was increasing our inner strength, our inner constitution to be stronger, more resistant people. And we all need that in the 21st century.
Without a doubt.
No safe spaces needed, you mean?
Indeed. So some of the other things that we have actually developed here, the LM potencies are actually in the Fibonacci series, if you've heard of that. Fibonacci was a researcher who developed how nature multiplies. And so we multiply the LM potencies out in that Fibonacci series as well. Some of the unique things that we've done, SafeCare is again designed with this high potencies for professional use only that we guard and protect. And we're here to really help empower both the practitioner as well as the patient, where we teach and we equip. I've taught license renewal seminars to chiropractors for, 30 plus years. And so we have a lot of trainings and ways to equip. Homeopathy can be so easy to integrate into your practice. It can be so simple. It's named for exactly what it treats. We have the acute pain formula. We have the arthritis formula. We have the sciatic formula. We have products for stress and anxiety that is so common today. It's hard to find somebody that's not dealing with either overwhelming stress or anxiety. We have a product for adrenal fatigue, adrenal burnout and fatigue. These are two very powerful products in the stress world that the world, from COVID to all these other things, we see, people falling out of work now because they're really burned out. And most people don't know they're burned out until much deeper into the burnout. We teach doctors how to discover this sooner through, changing blood pressure from laying down to standing up, and simple ways that you can quickly discover and discern burnout in people. And believe me, there's probably 75, 80% of the population has some level of adrenal burnout and fatigue.
Well, and so does that mean then too, because one, I'm hearing about adrenal burnout, fatigue, and thinking, personally, does that mean you can drink your coffee? And with SafeCare, with one of your homeopathic things, you wouldn't have to suffer the consequences for your coffee?
Exactly. I practiced a lot of this where you can't drink coffee, you can't brush your teeth anymore, no mints, no, all these issues. And I find that's really a myth in homeopathy.
Mm-hmm.
Hahnemann had a lifestyle, a very bland diet. He didn't eat onions or garlic or, strong aromatics like mints or coffee. And that was his lifestyle. And that got spun into homeopathy. When I met my wife, she loved coffee, pure organic coffee. And many years ago. And here I was living without coffee, right? And so I finally started drinking good coffee and realized it didn't cause a problem. We've also developed some advancements in homeopathy with the water, where we make the water more pure, not just biochemically, but we run it through 80,000 gauge magnetic tubes is one step we do. That kind of erases the memory because water carries a memory. And water will, by running it through, it's kind of like putting your old VCR tapes that you've recorded many times over and they're kind of jumpy. Like some of these Zoom calls. And, we see when we put the tape into the magnetic head cleaner, it erases all this memory, right? And now you can record much better on it. The same analogy or principle is true by putting the water through this magnetic. We see with Kirlian photography that now all this energy that's in water goes away. And so the water is pure biochemically as well as bioenergetically. And so now we find when we make the homeopathic remedies with this water, they withstand more sensitivities that homeopathics can have, like going through an X-ray at the airport or, a strong aromatic. They hold the potency so much stronger now because we're dealing with no more interference in the water. And it's pure homeopathic, not the history of the water any longer.
Well, and let me jump in with a question on that. Number one, I wanted to say the water, I've tried your supplements years ago. And I remember back in the day, you didn't have spray bottles. They were pouring the cup. And I was like, all right, whatever, Frank.
It's some powerful North Carolina water.
It was amazing. And I had great results from it. And it honestly did help me get off of some pharmaceutical stuff that the doctors were like, oh, you'll only take it for a few months. And then a year later, they're like only 6 months, but then they're with a year long. I was like, Frank, I can't get off of this stuff. So it helped me. I have a true testimony on that. But I wanted to find out two things. One, and this you can ask later, is about if you're the only ones doing it in water, because I really don't see many other people doing homeopathics in water. You see them mostly with alcohol, like you're saying. So are you guys still innovators on this? Does anybody else do water-based?
Not that I'm aware of. We do make some product for other brands and people out there that's pure water-based that comes from us. We kind of developed the little secrets of how to naturally preserve. We use now we keep it upgrading it. Now we're using a plant-based natural preservative system that's essentially still taste-free, which is wonderful. It's pure. So it's pure in taste as well. With the spray, you can actually use it in multiple ways. Here's an example of it. You can take it orally, just like that. Now, let's say, this is for stress. I can also, let's say stress goes to my neck. I can spray it on my neck, or I get the butterflies in my tummy, so I can spray it on my tummy. I get wherever stress seems to affect you, you can use it not only orally, but you can use it topically. And what Dr. Hahnemann, the founder of homeopathy, discovered and used only olfactory dosing in the last decade of his research. So it's simple. You just spray it in front of your face, breathe in just a minuscule amount into your frontal lobes, into the limbic system to get the deepest therapeutic activity you can get with homeopathy. So we have not only multiple ingredients that are synergistic, and these multiple potencies that broadens the therapeutic realm of homeopathy, as I was sharing. But then you also have multiple deliveries, where orally to treat from the inside out, topically to treat from the outside in, and olfactory to get that deepest therapeutic effect throughout our whole nervous system.
For a chiropractor who maybe hasn't been exposed to this type of therapy ever or administration, that's just trying to investigate a bit about how to incorporate it, what do you say to those people who maybe they've heard of Samuel Hahnemann? Are these therapies and the potencies and the proprietary blends, are they consistent with those that Hahnemann would recommend? And, just walk me through that for chiropractors or other practitioners.
Hahnemann, during his life, goes back to the 1700s now. He's a genius. He was the first geneticist to discover what I was sharing earlier. He made a lot of advancements, but when Hahnemann passed on at an old age, homeopathy kind of stayed the same. They followed the man and not the principle. And so we brought in much more innovation where, creating the water base and these multiple potencies. Now, Hahnemann was beginning to use different potencies individually through the day, but we kind of combined them together and found much faster results and more thorough results, more thorough correction. We've also done a number of advancements there. And for homeopathy, I call it, it really is a higher form of chiropractic. We don't want chiropractic to be paralyzed, as we don't want homeopathy or any natural approach to be paralyzed and not grow. We have found that homeopathy works is through its serial dilutions and succussions. It's very, very dilute. It's energized. It's an energetic medicine. They call it energy medicine. It's kind of like herbs and nutrition, vitamins are kind of like the black cards in a playing deck. And homeopathy is like the red cards. So the black cards are the biochemical realm, because we as humans we're biochemical, but so is the corpse, has the same chemicals that we do. I was going to bring one in, the fresh one from the local morgue, but they didn't let me do that. Anyway, the homeopathy, we're also bioenergetic. We have this energy field around us. When our nerves are firing and alive, that's where chiropractic works, right? To release the nerve controls to restore body function. It's more than just pain control. It is empowering your body to heal and be whole. But the hands of the chiropractor are limited in all this bioenergetic control networks, reflexes, the brain, inside the brain, all these functions. There's nerve interference that goes beyond just the spine. There's nerve interference with, like I said, reflex anomalies and aberrations. There's these nerve interferences in our brain and periphery. And so that's where homeopathy works. We see when we started using homeopathy, we saw a lot of the recurring subluxations stop recurring. We see a lot of the abnormal reflexes get correct. We see people get well faster, hold their adjustments longer. We see these things. This is a sign of advancing not only homeopathy, but we're advancing chiropractic as well by empowering the practitioner, the chiropractor, to be a doctor of the whole nervous system, to begin to go beyond just spinal interference to all the other interferences that's going on. And that way, I call it many times, homeopathy is kind of like chiropractic in a bottle. It's like, it really does help us expand to be doctors of the whole nervous system and begin to see the potential and the destiny of what chiropractic can do. It's more than just back problems and headaches. It is really empowering the body to become more whole, to be firing on all cylinders, through the nervous system. It's designed, and that's what homeopathy is. I believe it really is essential to completing the potential and the destiny of chiropractic.
Well, that is it's a passionate conversation we're having. Clearly, in order to do what you've done over the past 33 years, you have to be passionate about this, right? So
I wanted
Can
to
you?
jump in, Dr. Joe, really quick before we switch subjects too much. Okay. I wanted to go back on one you mentioned was about the purification of the water you guys do. You mentioned like through a magnetic head cleaner. Is this anything similar to ozone or is it the same?
No, no, ozone really is a biochemical way. We're clearing the water, not only making it very pure biochemically, which we do many steps, but we're also, this water is cleared bioenergetically. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and because this water has a memory. There's a Dr. Emoto who, the Japanese doctor who photographs these little molecules of water. It can tell when nasty things are set over the water versus blessings. And so you can see how water has this. It's the molecule. If there's no water on a planet, there's no life. Water is essential to life. It
Mm-hmm.
is something that is very different than all other molecules. And so we have taken that water that can have this memory to it and kind of, again, do a lot of things to enhance the homeopathic product to make it stronger and resistant to. So you can still brush your teeth as many times as you want a day. You can still have fresh breath. You can still enjoy coffee. You can,
Now you're talking.
you don't have these antidotes that, because the water is pure energetically, it holds the energy of the homeopathic so much stronger. I've taken a product and put it on an x-ray bucky to get direct x-rays, all day long for a month. And then I take that product and it still works.
Wow.
So that is difference of how much more powerful when we do these things that are so unique. It takes homeopathy again to a higher place. And it's so important. It's my passion to see how chiropractors can learn to embrace how easy it is to use, simply, and begin to embrace it and start to see chiropractic go therapeutically to a whole new level. Not just headaches, but heartburn and hemorrhoids and herpes. You can, it is so much, not only broadens your scope of practice, you'll get faster results from your typical low back pains and sciatica and headaches. You'll get more permanent results. And we've, practice builders in my day were saying, okay, we want to get you to do 100+ patient visits. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm trying to get my patient visits to the problem they come in to see me down to less than 10 visits. Right. And they'll say, you run yourself out of business. I said, I don't think so. The better and the more powerful we are to help people, the more empowered we will be. I've found that by doing that, people stuck around and started seeing me. They come in for the headaches and they leave also, fixing the heartburn and the hemorrhoids. So, it's that type of broadening our scope. Now we become the primary doctor that they want to see to be able to deal with their health in general. And now we become, this is the potential of what chiropractic has. And so I'm so passionate that the homeopathy is one of the keys, again, to be that doctor of the whole nervous system and to get whole person results.
So can you talk about, Dr. King, how the difference that you see the current chiropractor that may approach you versus what was going on 30 years ago, or even like the regulatory environment? You mentioned how this is a drug. So you had to study all of those processes in order to be able to do that. So now these doses are very low, according to my understanding, so low that they would not have some kind of deleterious effect on a human, right? But still they're regulated in that fashion. How has that environment changed? Can you talk on those points, the psychology of the chiropractor who you see in practice today, as well as the regulatory environment? How are those changing, especially with COVID and all this other stuff?
Yes, I think chiropractors have gotten themselves boxed in to, okay, I'm just going to relegate myself to low back, discs, or upper cervical. And the potential of all of us as chiropractors is so much greater. I believe that, yes, homeopathy will help you at wherever level of practice you want to be very eclectic and really work as you develop more and more confidence. You will want to expand your scope of practice, but it helps if you want to just stay low back specialist. Okay, the homeopathy can help you be the best low back or cervical specialist that you want to be. It still will help you get faster results, a higher percentage of results, and more correction and cure manifest when using homeopathy. So you can prevent that, like I said, as deep as that genetic predispositions that we have, inherited. That's how powerful you can be. So wherever you want to be as a chiropractor, most chiropractors, when they start using homeopathy, really do enjoy broadening their scope and starting to see, okay, my chiropractor said, I'm sorry, I'm on this hemorrhoid thing. I'm not anal, but he said, I enjoy helping people with hemorrhoids, and I don't even have to look at them. That is the hemorrhoids. Okay. You treat it from the inside out like this. It's that easy to do. So as an example for broadening your scope of practice, I love helping people in this time and age with stress, because I think stress is, at an all-time high, in anxiety at an all-time high. And all the drugs that are being given for this have some serious, horrible side effects, even polyhomicide. We never saw these multiple homicides, before they end their life. That's a side effect. Polyhomicide is one of the listed side effects for antidepressants.
Wow.
We want to be aware, to be able to reach and to help people in their quality of life. That is, to me, is so rewarding when you see people coming out of maybe a narrowed, limited view about themselves and their life, to all of a sudden, when you start working to help people manage stress better, all of a sudden they start expanding and seeing greater potentials. They start to see more beauty in the world rather than hate or darkness. They start to see their potentials grow and be able to take maybe some added risks and believe something that was been stuffed away, that was in their heart at a young age, that has been oppressed, to begin to release again. That's what happens with homeopathy when we start helping people with their stress and anxiety, their adrenal burnout. When you get burned out adrenal glands, you lose your ambition, you lose your motivation. We see that so much now, even in young people today. They just don't have that drive, that desire, that discipline to press through and do some more exceptional things, extraordinary things that are within them. That to me is where I love still. That's why I do this, because homeopathy really helps people become more whole. I always say homeopathy is like filling in the holes in our wholeness. It's like we're starting to come alive and see the potentials that are resident in people. I think graveyards are full of people with unfulfilled potentials, unfulfilled destinies. And that is sad to me, because the power of the human being is so much greater than we realize today. And working with homeopathy, combining homeopathy and chiropractic, we can see our profession begin to grow into the dynamic that D.D. Palmer and B.J. Palmer had envisioned for us. I read the history and the philosophy of chiropractic, and there's so many wonderful truths in it. I think the issue was we never really saw how to address nerve interference in a more complete way. And that's where homeopathy really complements chiropractic and empowers the chiropractor to see not only their own personal potentials, but the potentials for our profession overall.
Very good. Very good.
Wow.
So now, Dr. King, as you write these articles and have written in the past, volumes, right? We're always like make sure you put the references, Dr. King, and you always apply us with just, a long list of references. So can you talk about some of the research that's been done in support or even against, if it exists, these types of remedies, and just kind of help someone who already has a preconceived idea about this, or maybe they're exploring it, help them understand what you have seen that has created this empire of yours.
Well, it's an empire for all of us to build on. I believe, homeopathy, it's so different because it's an energy medicine. Mm-hmm. And that causes a lot of researchers to short circuit. They're following the molecular gods, and they believe that everything doesn't go any deeper than the molecule. Mm-hmm. And, life is way beyond the molecule. Like I said, we're both biochemical beings and we're bioenergetic beings. And this bioenergetic system that operates through the nervous system, through the acupuncture system, is what controls and coordinates all of our body functions. So I believe that the research in homeopathy is some of the best research I've ever seen. All the research in homeopathy is done on human beings, direct. It's not like, okay, the rats live a little longer, but it's about, it's much more, it's called provings in homeopathy. And what homeopathy means is like cures like. This was the principle that Hahnemann discovered. And so let's take an example of, okay, has anyone been chopping onions lately to go into the salsa or the dinner, and your eyes start to burn a bit and water? Mm-hmm. Well, in homeopathy, what a substance will cause in concentration, the symptoms that a substance will cause in concentration, it can correct in homeopathic potentization of the serial dilution beyond the molecular level. And with the intense succussions, it's a labor-intensive process to make homeopathics. It's not component-intensive. And so we're creating this energy of each substance on the planet. Mm-hmm. And so the onions that cause the tearing and the burning and the watering, the sniffling, sounds a lot like a lot of allergy symptoms, doesn't it? Well, the Latin term for onion is allium cepa. And what we'll see is that homeopathic potentized onion actually corrects those primary acrid eye watering symptoms in allergies.
Oh, wow.
And so, another common, I want to kind of get back to chiropractic a bit, but Rhus toxidendron. In homeopathy, they use Latin terms because they're much more accurate describers of the substances. And that's poison ivy. Rhus toxidendron, or Rhus tox, we call it for short. That's homeopathic poison ivy. What they would do is bring 100 very healthy people that are asymptomatic, and they bring them in as what they call a proving group, and they'll pass out the regular poison ivy in capsules, and everyone gets some along with the Kool-Aid. Just kidding. And and they would give so everyone would take their Rhus tox, the poison ivy, and they do this every day and follow them for weeks or even a month, and observe what goes on with this proving group. And we see not only do they get these little vesicles that swell up that are fluid filled and itch, like poison ivy, but they also realize, oh, my joints are getting stiff. Oh, I ache. My joints, they get worse at night. I feel restless. And they observe not only the physical symptoms, but the homeopaths are very detailed and observe and look for mental and emotional peculiarities that might manifest. And with Rhus tox, people get irritable and restless only at night. Guess what's in our restless leg formula? We got some Rhus tox. And it is one of the number one remedies for general musculoskeletal symptoms. Especially, they've observed from the details of these proving groups on humans that if not only that stiffness, And as you move around, you feel better. It's unique. They also, when cold, damp weather, they get worse. In warm, dry weather, they feel better. You see all these unique peculiarities to match the remedy with the human being, specific patterns, symptomatic picture, as homeopaths call it. So it's not just treating the symptom, it's awakening the body's inner power to heal. They're awakening, again, the nervous system, the acupuncture system, the energetic control networks that coordinate all of our body functions and maintain our homeostasis. That's where homeopathy is operating. And it's bringing that balance to our control networks and complementing chiropractic. That's the research that's done in homeopathy. The typical research today, homeopaths were the first to do double-blind crossover studies, by the way. Back in 1906, they began that, way before medicine started doing their thing. But these double-blind crossover studies today, they're fine for short-term. It's only showing short-term use of short-term biochemical manipulations of drugs. And without looking at the long-term, that's why the majority of allopathic drugs that are released today are no longer in the marketplace. Like 80% of them are no longer in the marketplace within a 10-year period. So it's because they find that the long-term side effects outweigh the short-term benefits, just like hormone replacement therapy, for example.
Well, where are these proving groups happening? I don't understand that. Like, this is the first time I've heard. Well, I may have heard of it before, but I've never been able to ask the question. where
they happen? It can happen in Panama.
Anywhere.
The Republic of Panama. They can happen in, they have it all over.
I don't want to be trying the poison ivy, Frank, please.
Okay. Well,
no poison ivy.
I'm
not in that proving group.
Yeah. This is a simple little homeopathic materia medica book. Okay. This is written by Dr. Borky, a medical doctor. These were done by medical doctors over the last 200 years. Okay. And in here, they have all these details about what they've found in these provings. And you can find these peculiarities in the mental, emotional realm, in every aspect of the human body. There are, here's the head where you have vertigo, nausea, rising from your seat.
There's probably censored material, Dr. King. You can't find that on the internet, more than likely. Yeah.
Well, and Frank,
these materia medicas are you can see them online too. Now they're very complex and detailed. We made a very complex healing art of homeopathy into something that makes it very easy and contemporary for practitioners to use today.
Cool. No, very, very good. That's why we have you on, so that you can provide that information. If someone out
critics will try to, muffle homeopathy, because they just don't understand that anything could exist beyond the molecule. As I shared, unless you understand energy medicine, some of these critics will just say, well, it can't work because there's not enough molecules. There's not enough
to generate some kind of biochemical response. Yeah.
And we understand that as chiropractors. We understand we don't need chemicals to help people heal. We just need to release the energy of the subluxation, the nerve interference, and people get better. And that's what homeopathy will help empower the chiropractor to do in a multiple dynamic dimension.
Great. So how do people that are listening to this interview right now learn more about King Bio and SafeCare and any other products that you may be able to direct them towards to help their patients?
Yes. Well, safe-care.com. And you can go there. You can contact our customer service. We've got people there that are equipped, that I've trained. They're like miniature Dr. Kings, to help the chiropractor be able to integrate in whatever level they want. Whether it's just, I just want to take my low back pain practice to another level. You'll start using our acute pain topical formula. You might start using our oral back formula. you can, but then you'll find that, oh, wow, I start working with the stress and I see that now my patients are getting better, much faster and feeling better, just by adding, dealing with stress, because we all know how stress can, weaken our adrenal glands, weaken our ligaments, make us susceptible to spinal injury, low back and neck pain.
Amazing. Well, and one last quick question, because I'm always coming from the consumer standpoint, knowing that, okay, if we're talking about stress and anxiety in Panama, we live in the Republic of Panama. Since COVID, probably before COVID, there's been a major depression, anxiety problem. Thank God we're from a chiropractic family and I have connections like you. So I don't struggle with this, but I can tell you, I have friends who've told me how much they spend on therapists, I've got friends who've been taking drugs for depression and anxiety since they were 15 years old, who now have children and are adults and parents. So how much is homeopathy compared to all of these? I can't even imagine, when I hear the numbers of how much people pay for therapy, it's amazing to me that anybody can spend that much money.
Yes. I think it's good, for, mental health, for people to be able to talk, and, all these things are good. But if you're not working with a full deck, as I was sharing with the red cards and the black cards,
right?
We're really lacking the potential of what we can overcome. And, I have not found a disease that somebody didn't overcome, and we used to have on our cards in practice, specializing in difficult cases, because that's what we got, rejects from the Cleveland Clinic, and we saw how we started helping people with so-called incurable diseases, so-called terminal illnesses. We've had so many of those, not everyone, but a good percentage of those overcome those issues. Right. And so when you start, the issue why a condition is seemingly difficult or so-called incurable is only because they haven't found the cure yet.
Right.
And I think, with homeopathy and chiropractic together, we teach also, we've always taught our patients as much as we could, natural healing techniques, protocols that we had our patients do between visits. And we share that too with the chiropractors. Here's how to spray over the reflexes, over the key acupuncture points relating to the sciatica or, the asthma, and, how you can spray those points, find those points. They're tender. The body's talking to us. These points around the body, they're so easy to find. It's not complex. We give charts to the docs where they can show, okay, for low back pain, here's points to check, and have circle what you find them on the patient, circle them on the chart, have the patient not only take it orally, as I mentioned, but spray it on those points and stretch those acupuncture points and massage them with the remedy on them. They're really amazing how powerful we expand chiropractic and homeopathy, take them both to a much higher level.
Well, and I guess I wanted just to jump in, because what I wanted to point out, since I'm so passionate on this subject, because I'm telling you, I've gone to like a funeral for a high school student who'd been under therapy and medication. So, this. So what I'm trying to tell people is if you know somebody who's been trying these other allopathic solutions or therapists and they're not getting better, then please get to a chiropractor who might have access to homeopathy so that they can try something else and get better results. That's the main thing I'm trying to say, is not to take away from the allopathic solutions and their time and place, but just saying like, look, you've got to keep searching for answers and trying new things. And I'm so glad that we get the honor of working with you, Dr. King, and so many other chiropractors out there who have such amazing solutions for some serious problems that the public is facing right now. So thank you so much.
Thank
Dr.
you more.
I didn't know if you have anything else to add, but I know that we've taken a lot of your time today already, but I'm sure we'll have you back again, right?
Look forward to it. There is so much more to share. And, again, it just reach out. I encourage every chiropractor to step out a little bit and begin to experience and watch from a simple baby steps on to grow, take it as far as you like. It's so simple, you can begin applying it the next day.
Outstanding.
So, yes, thank you.
So with that, I think, Dr. King, we're going to wrap this interview up. We're just about out of time. So definitely we're going to have to do this again, though. This was a good first run, though. And so look for more articles from Dr. Frank King in upcoming issues of the American Chiropractor magazine.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks
Have a
so
great
much.
day, Dr. King.